in the pistol, fakes the handoff to Benjamin. Long throw downfield, looking for Darby. Caught for a touchdown. Arizona State takes the lead. ASU looking to finish their drive strong. Here's Wilkins from the shotgun. Finds a man in the middle. That's Kyle Williams. Open touchdown Devils. They extend their lead for Williams' first touchdown of the year.
Manny Wilkins hands the ball off to the right side. Eno Benjamin bounces off a tackle into the end zone. Touchdown ASU.
The season is underway, and so are we. Welcome to the house, Scotty Gaines, Jordan Palacio. And Scotty, you always know it's a crazy week in college football when the best player in the ASU game was the punter.
Coming from the guy with the skinniest legs in the history of the world, right?
Skinniest legs you've ever seen on a man. Yes, sir. Runner's legs. Runner's legs.
Hey, heck of a day for Arizona State. Heck of a day for Michael Turk, and a fun one for you and I. But It was a really fun one for Quinn Jamison. He's going to bring you the entire game story. 31-7 Devils.
College football is back, and so is Arizona State. The Sun Devils kicked off the 2019 season at home against Kent State. Jaden Daniels, the first true freshman quarterback to start the opening game in ASU history, with the deep ball early to Frank Darby for his first career completion. On defense, safety Cam Phillips initiates the contact, and former USC Trojan Jack Jones came flying in and knocks the ball loose for the first Sun Devils turnover. Daniels on the bootleg, sticks his foot in the ground, and finds Eno Benjamin in the back of the end zone for the first Sun Devils touchdown of the season. 10-0 Arizona State. Benjamin again up the near side, cuts back, initiates contact. The ball comes loose, recovered by Kent State. A rare mistake for Eno Benjamin. Right back to him the next possession. He hurdles a defender, just like Manny Wilkins used to do, and comes up with a big run. Kalen Kearse-Thomas gets there first around the legs. Jermaine Lole finished the job, and the Sun Devils were in control on both sides of the ball. Daniels back again. He's showing off that athleticism that made him one of the top high school players in the country. Makes a couple guys miss, escapes the pocket, and scampers for positive yards, making something out of nothing. Brandon Ayuk electrified the crowd here at the end of the first half. Catches a slant over the middle, makes a guy miss, jumps over another defender, and falls out of bounds as time expired. In the third, inside the 5, Jaden Daniels read option. He reads it right, and he is in for the touchdown. His first rushing touchdown of his career. That young man has earned this celebration. Great game for the quarterbacks. Kalen Kearse-Thomas came flying around the end and knocks the ball loose. George Lay pounced on it, and the Sun Devils have yet another turnover. Domination on both sides of the ball. Lay a little overzealous here on that celebration, almost knocks Danny Gonzalez out. Later in the third, quick bubble screens. Brandon Ayuk makes a man miss, makes another man miss into open field, and look at that man burn. No one is catching him. 77 yards to the house. 23-0 Sun Devils. Kent State would score their only points of the game in the fourth, but it was much too little, much too late. Herm Edwards and company picked up the 30-7 victory and will play Sacramento State next week.
Hey, look, we really bleed this. I understand we really bleed this. I don't think they understand. That's what we do.
Hey, the man behind the voice, Quinn Jamison. Heck of a game recap and heck of a ball game for the Arizona State Sun Devils. Again, a 31-7 win. If you're in or around Sun Devil Stadium, everything is amazing, everything is awesome. But I know from the field level, from the sidelines where you were, Quinn, it might have been a different skew for that, at least in terms of offensively.
Offensively, it was a really exciting game for Arizona State. Jaden Daniels getting his first start at quarterback as a true freshman, and he really showed a lot of poise in the pocket. It's what the coaching staff raved about. He showed off his athleticism, made some good plays with his feet, and made some huge connections to Brandon Ayuk. Now, the one problem with the offense came up front with the offensive line. There was a lot of shifting in the week prior, and it really kind of threw off that entire unit. Cade Cody went down with a broken foot, and true freshman Donovan West had to step in at center. Cole Cabral, who's projected to be drafted as a center in the NFL, he had to move over to left tackle, and the unit as a whole could just never really come together and protect their quarterback effectively. 5 sacks in a game is unacceptable, especially when you consider 2018 when the Sun Devils had a good unit. They allowed just 18 sacks the entire season.
Hey, when you look at a team and they play 25 either true freshmen or red freshmen in the opening game of their season, you got to think something is crazy, something is ridiculous. But that's really not the case. I mean, the defense is so talented with young players. What did you see from them?
The defense really is talented this year, and as you said, 25 freshmen played, but it's a senior that I'm actually going to highlight on the defense in Kalen Kearse-Thomas. Kalen Kearse-Thomas had never started a game for ASU last year. He still got a lot of playing time, but he wasn't a starter. In spring ball, he really impressed the coaches, and he really stepped up big. He had 5 total tackles, 3.5 of which for a loss, 1.5 sacks, and he was the star of the game on the defensive side of the ball. Furthermore, Kobe Williams was fantastic as normal. Jack Jones got some playing time, having only been with the team 2 weeks. That secondary really looks formidable. 200 yards allowed, 7 points against. It's a pretty phenomenal performance, even though Danny Gonzalez said they needed to be have a little better conditioning there in the second half.
Quinn, I hate to call you out, but you said that he said one thing wrong. You said that Kalen Kearse-Thomas was the star of the game. He wasn't the star of the game. Michael Turk was the star of the game. Okay, punters are people too, and Michael Turk had a day for the history books of Arizona State, Quinn.
Michael Turk, I was wrong, Scotty. I'll admit, Michael Turk was the defensive player of the game.
Yeah.
Danny Gonzalez admitted it himself. He set the NCAA single game record for average punt yards at 63 yards per punt, which is absolutely ridiculous. It's an NCAA record. His long on the day was 75 yards, and his shortest punt of the day, 49. Furthermore, 3 more of his punts were down inside the 20. That is electric punting, and that helped swing the game in terms of field position. It set that defense up for success, and that's going to be a storyline to look forward to moving forward. Ray Guy Award watch list.
Hey man, he's so much fun to watch. Quinn, you're so much fun to talk to, but there's nothing that's more fun than touchdowns. And for the first 2019 Blaze Radio Call of the Game, why can we not have the first touchdown of the season? Here's our Zach Keenan with the first touchdown of the 2019 season. Jaden Daniels to Eno Benjamin.
Under center, fakes the handoff to Eno Benjamin, rolls out wide, cuts back inside, then jump pass to the end zone! Eno Benjamin, the first touchdown of the Arizona State season, coming courtesy of the dynamic offensive duo we will grow to love this year.
Jaden Daniels scrambling a little bit in the pocket, off balance.
With the NFL teams announcing their 53-man rosters this week, we now start a little something new here on House of Sparky. We bring in Julian Parras into our show right now. And Julian, let's talk about where are they now? Let's talk about the 2018 class of Sun Devils, and let's start off with the big fish here in the pond, N'Keal Harry, first-round pick. How's his offseason been?
I mean, if you've seen the news and you've heard about the reports, it's been a little rough.
Yeah.
Apparently, he's been dealing with some sort of an ankle injury. It's been kind of lingering, and obviously, it's going to affect him for this first half of the season. So we're not going to be able to see N'Keal Harry for the first half of the season, those first 8 games. But coming around, late 2019, we'll be able to see him come that 9th game going in for that rest of the season, and we'll be able to see what kind of impact he has, especially right next to Tom Brady.
I mean, that's what's so exciting about N'Keal Harry, because you have Tom Brady, Josh Gordon just got reinstated. There's a lot of moving pieces.
Julian Edelman is still there. He's
Demaryius
a solid wide
Thomas
receiver for
as
sure.
well.
Exactly. So, it's not like they're totally empty-handed, but this
Right.
just sucks because we wanted to be able to see him make an impact early.
Exactly, and especially everyone was so excited because he was taken in the first round. Who else do you want to talk about? Who else do we have on the list here?
I'll go off, the second guy that I thought, we're all going to miss, and he was obviously a fan favorite, was Manny Wilkins.
Right.
And for the situation that he's in, even though he's a backup, people forget they're not going to forget that he is a backup behind Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
So one of the 2 best quarterbacks in the NFL, no doubt.
Yeah.
That is going to be an excellent mentor for him to be able to learn about how to pass, especially because if anything, he knows about how to run the ball, without a doubt. The hurdles, you can't forget about those types of plays when he was at Arizona State. But being able to throw the football is essential, especially if he wants to have a long career in the NFL. That's the guy who he's going to be able to turn to in these moments, especially now.
And it's so fun because Manny Wilkins was brought in as an undrafted free agent and just beat out Deshaun Kaiser as well on the Green Bay roster.
Thought.
No, absolutely
this
not.
This is the Kaiser that we're talking about from Notre Dame.
Right.
Let's not forget that. So the fact that Manny Wilkins has that potential to be able to be that type of a quarterback, even if it's just a backup, he's going to be able to get his reps eventually in the future.
No, absolutely. And you talk about getting their reps. How about Rennell Wren, also an undrafted free agent, making an impact very much early for Cincinnati?
So Rennell Wren I think that he might be in the best position if we're talking about these recently graduated, players. Him next to Geno Atkins and the rest of that Cincinnati defense, that's going to be an excellent place for him to be able to develop. And the Cincinnati Bengals defense as well.
Absolutely.
They're kind of evolving year after year. They're super tough. I mean, Geno Atkins, I feel like he's going to be great to be able to watch, to be able to kind of, what type of game can he take from him to be able to develop it to his own. That way he can succeed in the NFL. So that's going to be great, and I think he's going to be an excellent player in the future.
Well, we appreciate the insight, Julian, and until next time, we thank you for stepping in.
A pleasure.
Spiral, knuckle, rugby, pooch, S-bend, banana, reverse banana, and the drop. I'm missing a few, but those are among the paintbrushes a punter can choose from each time he steps 15 yards behind the long snapper. Only in week 1, Michael Turk bested an NCAA record. With a long of 75 yards, the redshirt sophomore transfer is leading the FBS while averaging 63 yards per punt. His mean broke the collegiate record for punting average in a game with 5 or more attempts: 64, 62, 65, 49, and 75. Last season, starting punter Michael Sleep Dalton averaged 42 yards per punt for ASU, so even Turk's shortest punt was still an improvement. Their numbers are great, but what's more interesting is his technique. The perfect punter will make contact with the ball at the knee level of his plant leg. Turk hits it about mid-shin height. The extra milliseconds he take give him more power. It's risky. He's taking more time in the pocket where he could be blocked. But his calm demeanor, quick shift of the ball, and fast drop combine for a deadly canvas on which he creates. Turk's ideal punt is one just over the elite benchmark of 5 seconds, hang time, long enough for the Gunners to get to the returner. Kent State's punt returner, Kavius Price, averaged 6 yards per punt return. It's the art of switching fields. It doesn't need to be a sky punt in order to hit that number. Sometimes Turk will hit a line drive over the head of the returner if he thinks he can pin him inside the 20. On a football, there's a sweet spot punters and kickers look to hit. It makes a thump sound, and it's the difference between a bomb and bombing. It sounds simple enough, right? The sweet spot in the dead center of the ball is the size of the penny. The middle of the foot, which is bigger than a $100 bill, needs to make contact with the sweet spot for the right boom. Turk's expertise put him on the Ray Guy Award watch list, given to the nation's most outstanding punter. If he keeps dropping dimes or pennies like he did against Kent State, he'll be a lock for the win. Hey, if you haven't heard, Arizona State, they've got a football game this Friday night, and it's kind of a weird football game. It's on a Friday night. It's against an FCS opponent in Sac State. We really don't know anything about this opponent. So for that reason, all three things, we're bringing in our guy Jackson Zuber to help us break down who they are and what they are in Sac State. So Jackson, I ask you this, who are they?
Thanks, Scotty. That is an absolutely fantastic question. It is kind of weird. If you had asked me a week ago, I would have zero clue what this team was going to be. They just got a new head coach, Troy Taylor, and before they played their game last week, we weren't really sure how the offense was going to run. Now, they put up 77 points against Southern Oregon. It was an absolute just beat down, and this team is going to play very fast and very aggressive. Now, on the offensive side of the ball, they're playing fast, especially on first downs. They're going to run up to the line of scrimmage right after that first down, try to get the defense on their heels, and try to get them tired. And now on the defensive side of the ball, they showed off their aggressiveness last week by getting 4 interceptions in the game.
Hey, from first glance, you really, both of these teams have little different backdrops, FCS to FBS, but when you take a closer look, you see they're pretty close, right?
Yeah.
Exactly, right? So what is similar about them? I know Arizona State, they've got a lot of playmakers, but what about Sac State?
If you're talking about playmakers and you're talking about Sacramento State, there's one guy that you have to touch on right away. It's the 3-year starting quarterback, Kevin Thompson. Now, this guy, he didn't have a great year last year, but really no one on Sac State did. So with new coach Taylor, this offense is going to be a lot more quarterback friendly, and I'm expecting him to have a big year this year. And that's going to be helped out by his running back, Elijah Dotson. This guy is a dual threat running back. He can catch passes, he can run the ball. He showed that last week with 2 rushing touchdowns and 1 receiving. So that offense might be a little bit more of a challenge for ASU's defense than we think. And their defense behind Kalen Barnes, the senior cornerback, is going to be a test for them as well. That guy led the team in sacks, tackles last year, and it's going to be a little bit more for Eno and all the other guys to handle than some might think.
Hey, definitely going to be exciting to watch in terms of Eno Benjamin and guys like Jaden Daniels, who's just entering his second game ever in college football, to go up against a defense that has playmakers like Sac State. But thinking of in terms of big picture, when you look at the game Friday night, Jackson, what do you really see?
Well, when I'm looking at this game, a lot of people are talking about who's going to win and who's going to lose, but we're all kind of thinking the same thing. So instead, I'm going to look at the spread. The spread right now is at 33.5, and I'm going to say something a little bit crazy here. I got ASU covering this one. See, last year, Sacramento State actually started out the same way, blowing out their first opponent, but then they lost almost every other game the rest of the year, only winning one more. So, sorry, I'm not going to put much into a blowout win against an NAIA school, and this is the Pac-12. I mean, ASU is a very good team comparatively to Southern Oregon, so I got to have ASU covering. I compare this game a lot to ASU's last year against UTSA. It was also right before the Michigan State game, which this one is as well. And ASU beat UTSA by more than 35 points, so that would cover the spread, which I expect to happen this weekend.
Hey, so good teams win and great teams cover. ASU has the opportunity to be great for the second straight week, and this guy is great right here, Jackson Zuber. Thanks so much for the time, man. Appreciate you.
Wally Pipp was a longtime New York Yankees first baseman in the 1920s. He had the job locked down until June 2nd, 1925. Pipp, who denies being taken out of the lineup because of a headache, was slumping, and the Yanks were only 16-25 at the time. So manager Miller Hughes gave Pipp the game off and brought in one of the young benchwarmers to take his spot. The replacement's name is Lou Gehrig. Gehrig, of course, goes on to have one of the most successful careers in baseball history, and in doing so becomes the luckiest man on the face of the earth. Pipp, on the other hand, was no longer a Yankee by season's end. Why is all this relevant? Christian Zendejas. The backup kicker was told Thursday morning he would be place kicking the Kent State game for the injured Brandon Reese. Zendejas' last competitive field goal was against Hamilton High School on November 10, 2016, in the 6A quarterfinals between the Hamilton Huskies and the Perry Pumas. It was a 40-yarder at the end of regulation to win the game for Perry, and he missed it. Luckily, Perry went on to win the game in overtime, but Zendejas has had that memory dwelling in his head for almost the last 3 years. So what does he do? He goes 3 for 3 on field goals, including scoring the first point for the Sun Devils in the 2019 season. Now, is it too early to compare Brandon Reese to Wally Pipp? Absolutely. It was a meaningless game against Kent State. But as a coach, how do you keep a 3 for 3 kicker on the bench? Even if Zendejas goes back to the sidelines for one night, he was the main event and avenged those memories from high school. And that's why Christian Zendejas is our feel-good story of the week.
It's my favorite part of the week. The feel-good story of the week. Christian Zendejas.
Yeah.
He was told an hour before the game he was kicking, something like that?
Something like that, yeah. Morning of, how about that? Your last kick's in 2016. You get thrown into the fire, and hey, you're going to go kick 3 field goals today.
I definitely would have fainted. I really would. But luckily for you and I, we get to watch and we get to talk about the team in terms of glorified spectators.
A little bit.
Yeah, we get to watch these guys. We get to talk about them, and it's been so fun so far. And hey, it's Friday Night Lights Sun Devil edition. That's going to be the end of the House of Sparky, the house show here for week 1 officially in studio. For Jordan Palacio, I'm Scotty Gaines. For everybody that joined us today and for our executive producer, Noah Lau, we appreciate you all joining us. And hey, we'll see you on Friday.